All right, so today we're going to be continuing our discussion about one-step equations and solving them. Yesterday we spoke about when we solve an equation, what we're really doing is we're isolating the variable. We're getting that variable all by itself on one side of the equation, and that allows us to say what the value of the variable is. And you'll also remember that we talked about needing to undo an operation by performing the opposite operation. So if a value is being subtracted from the variable, then we would need to add something to that side of the equation. So in this case, we have 2f equals 12. And so you may remember from earlier conversations that whenever you see a coefficient, a number, besides the variable, the letter, then that means that the number is being multiplied by the variable. So essentially this means 2 times f. So if I want to get f all by itself on one side of the equation, one side of the equal sign, then I need to get rid of that coefficient of 2. And I do that by dividing it out, because of course dividing is the opposite operation to multiplying. So I'm going to do that. But I need to remember that whatever I'm doing to one side of my equation, I need to do to the other side. I need my left side to always remain equal to my right side, and so that means I need to perform the same operation to both sides. So when I take a 2 and divide it by 2, I get 1. And whenever I divide anything by itself, that gives me 1 as a remainder. And so that allows me to cancel them out essentially. And so that will give me 1f on the left-hand side. Looking at the right side of this equation, I have 12 divided by 2. 12 divided by 2 will give me 6, and so I'm going to put that down. Now typically in math we won't see a 1 written down if 1 is the coefficient. We sort of understand it to be there. It's not wrong if you keep it there, but usually in math we want to tidy things up, and so we'll rewrite that as simply f equals 6, and we're done. So at this point in the video, you may want to get a piece of paper and a pen or pencil ready in order to practice some of the next examples to see if you're on the right track. You may need to pause the video and go from there. It's really up to you how you want to go about this. If you're not ready yet, maybe just watch the next example. Before we do that, however, we are going to do a quick check. So you can always check your answer by substituting the value that you got for the variable back into the original equation. And so I can see that I solved for f, and f's value was determined to be 6. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put that 6 in wherever I see the f in the formula, in the equation. So 2 times 6 gives me 12, and so I know that my left side equals my right side. And you can apply that to any question that you do to check to see if your answer is correct. So here's a second example. I have 36 equals 9. And so it doesn't really matter whether my variable term is on the left side or the right side. The approach is the same. If I want to get rid of that 9, I need to divide it out. But whatever I do to one side, I need to do to the other side. So I'm going to divide the 36 by 9 as well. And so when I do that, I can cancel out the 9s on the right-hand side right here, and that allows me to divide out the left-hand side. Now we're working with some nice clean numbers, but this would work just as well if when I divided out, I ended up with a decimal. That would work perfectly well. So again, I have 1n. But that one doesn't really need to be there. It's understood to be there. I'm going to rewrite this with my with just the n written and the 1 understood to be there, but I'm going to write my variable on the left-hand side because that's how we want to do things in math. That's just the way that we format. All right, hopefully that question made sense, that solution made sense to you. We're going to move on to the next example. So in this example, we can see that the coefficient of n happens to be a negative number. That doesn't really change our approach to this. We still need to get rid of the whole negative n. We can't just get rid of n, or the 7 rather, because if we got rid of the 7, then that would leave that negative still beside the n, and that is no good. So we are going to have to divide both sides of this equation by negative 7. And that will allow us to cancel out the negative 7s. So when I do that, negative 7 divided by negative 7 gives me a 1. 21 divided by negative 7 will give me a negative 3. And just remember some of the rules of integers. When I divide a positive number by a negative number, then I always end up with a negative number. I'm going to clean this up by moving my 1 end to the other side and moving my negative 3 to the right-hand side. And I'm going to omit my 1 beside the n because we understand that it's there even though we're not writing it in. So finally, what I want you to do is to take a look at the worksheets that I've included on Google Classroom in association with the video so that you can practice. There should also be some answer keys on Google Classroom so that you can verify your answers and see if you're on the right track. Again, always, you can see me at lunch if you're having trouble with this, and we can go over it one-on-one and make sure that you're clear on the concepts.